farmhouse, night. A full moon hangs low, casting an eerie glow over the old Carter farm. All is silent in the darkness, aside from the distant hoot of an owl. Suddenly, flashlight beams break through the night as Jake, 23, and his friend Mai, 21, emerge from the woodline. They survey the decaying farmhouse with intrigue and curiosity. Jake. According to my grandpa's journal, this is where it all started. Carter Place has been abandoned for decades, Amy. And you're sure no one will mind us snooping around? This place gives me the creeps. Jake shrugs, more interested in finding clues to the dark family secrets that have plagued his lineage for over a century. They approach the creaking porch cautiously. The front door swings open ominously in the breeze, as if beckoning them inside. Jake leads the way into the musty foyer. Centuries of dust and decay are evident everywhere they look. Old portraits gaze eerily down from the walls in the dim light. As they make their way deeper inside, Jake recounts the tragic story he's pieced together from his grandfather's journal entries and local folklore. Of forbidden love, jealousy, and murder, most foul that transformed this very house into the stuff of nightmares. Amy shivers, less from the chill, and more from the sinister atmosphere that seems to cling to every corner of this cursed place. But the discovery of long-buried truths drives Jake forward into the shadowy depths of the farmhouse. What dark secrets still linger in the walls of the Carter plantation, waiting to be uncovered after all these years? Old cemetery. Night. A full moon hangs low in the night sky, illuminating the sprawling graveyard. Moss-covered headstones and crumbling crypts create haunting shadows throughout the cemetery. In the distance, Jake, 23, carries a backpack and flashlight as he navigates the tombstones. His breath is visible in the cold air. Jake stops and pulls out an old journal, consulting a page by the light of his flashlight. Jake. According to Grandpa's journal, the lost crypt should be just up ahead. Jake traverses further into the cemetery, keeping a close eye on the journal. He stops at a clearing surrounded by 4 large headstones. Jake. This must be it. Jake begins to search the area, moving his flashlight across the ground and bases of headstones. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. He is about to give up when his flashlight beam catches on a rectangular outline hidden under aging moss and foliage at the base of the largest headstone. Jake brushes away the plants to reveal a weathered stone plaque engraved with the name Carter. Jake bingo. Jake pulls a crowbar from his bag and begins leveraging away at the plaque. It takes some effort, but eventually the stone shifts, revealing a deep pit below. Yellow bones are scattered around the bottom of a concealed crypt entrance. Jake smiles, excited by his discovery. He pulls a headlamp on and descends into the darkness. Juck turns on his headlamp as he enters the dank, musty crypt. Cobwebs cling to every surface. The small, enclosed space is lined with ornate stone coffins, some opened and robbed long ago. Dusty relics and remnants of a bygone era are scattered about. Jake examines a few items, getting a sense of the families who were once buried here. His light falls upon an obscure marking etched into the back crypt wall. Jake moves closer, brushing away years of grime. 2 letters become visible. T.C. Jake pulls out an old trinket from his bag, a bronze locket with the same initials engraved on the front. He opens it to reveal a photo of a beautiful woman from the 1890s. I finally found you, Tabitha. Kansas, 1891. A large man, Jacob Carter, drags a screaming young woman, Tabitha Clark, across a barnyard towards an open well. She fights with all her strength, but he overpowers her. Tabitha. Please, Jacob, don't do this. I love Thomas, not you. Jacob pays no mind to her pleas. With a grunt, he throws Tabitha headfirst down the deep well. Her screams fade as she plunges into the black abyss below. Jacob peers down, catching his breath. A sinister smile spreads across his face. His rival is gone, and Tabitha will soon be his. Cemetery, night, present day. Jake shines his light over the initials on the wall, lost in thought. He's pieced together the tragic story that's been haunting his family for generations. Jake. So, this is where you've been all this time. Tabitha, Grandpa was right. Jacob Carter did kill you and seal you in this crypt to hide his evil crime. But now I've found you, and the truth can finally be known. Jake pulls out his phone to dial 911, but sees he has no service in the depths of the crypt. He'll need to get above ground. As Jake turns to leave, something catches his eye. In the farthest corner, laid amongst the bones, is a rusted metal crate, out of place amongst the coffins. Curious, Jake shines his light on it. The heavy padlock looks aged but intact. Jake struggles with the latch, but it refuses to budge, as if purposefully sealed. Whatever's inside must still be hidden and waiting. A sinister idea forms in Jake's mind. With a devilish grin, he raises the heavy crate above his head. Jake, time to set you free. Carter home. Night, a lavish home filled with antiques and dark furnishings. An imposing male figure paces before a fireplace, consumed with anxious thoughts. This is Jacob Carter, 60s, descendant of the original Jacob, and spitting image of his murderous ancestor. But Jacob's manner of calm composure is disturbed. He tosses back a snifter of brandy nervously. A realization washes over him. Someone has found the crypt. Jacob Carter. After all these years, they've discovered the truth. A knock at the door startles Jacob. He straightens himself and answers with false pleasantness, but no one was there. Jacob steps onto the porch, searching. In the distance, a faint glow emanates from the tree lineage of the old Carter plantation, the cemetery. A possessed grin spreads across Jacob's face, revealing his true sinister nature was never gone, only dormant like his ancestor before him. The past has come back to haunt this house, and he intends to finish what was started so long ago. Jacob goes inside and returns moments later, donning a long leather trench coat and wielding a shotgun. He strides purposefully into the night towards the illuminated tree line and whatever awaits him within those cursed graves. Carter Crypt, night. Jake stands over the broken crate, caught off guard by what's lying inside. A partially decayed human body wrapped in old burlap. But it's not Tabitha Clark's remains. This body is much larger, a full-grown man, it appears. Jake shines his light on a tattered piece of cloth tied around its wrist. It reads, T. Carter. Jake puts it together. This must be Thomas Carter, Tabitha's lover that Jacob murdered out of jealousy all those years ago. Jake's discovery is interrupted by the sound of twigs snapping outside the crypt entrance. He spins with a start, immediately on high alert. Slow, stealthy footsteps approach above. Jake backs away slowly, raising his flashlight like a weapon. A shadowy figure descends into the entrance of the crypt above, backlit by the full moon. A familiar, sinister grin is all that's visible in the intruder's face for a chilling moment before he steps into the glow of Jake's light. It's Jacob Carter. Jacob Carter. Well, it seems we've uncovered quite the family secret, haven't we, boy? Jake is paralyzed with fear. Jacob regards the corpse casually. Jacob Carter. Looks like old Thomas has finally seen the light of day again. Pity I'll have to put him back where he belongs. Jacob raises his shotgun swiftly and takes aim at Jake, who dives for cover just as the blast echoes throughout the crypt. Jake scrambles desperately for the entrance as more shots are fired. He launches himself from the crypt and sprints as fast as he can through the darkness of the cemetery. The unhinged cackle of Jacob Carter II chases him into the night. Jake bursts from the tree line, breath heaving in terror. He fumbles for his phone with shaky hands, still no service. In the distance, the engine revving grows steadily louder on the empty country road. Headlights illuminate the cloud of dust as Jacob's pickup truck comes screeching towards Jake at breakneck speed, the deranged Carter behind the wheel. Jake jumps out of the way at the last moment as the truck barrels past, brakes screeching as it spins in the gravel and comes back around for another pass. Jake takes off into the dark cornfields as the truck pursues, weaving through the towering stalks. The truck plows straight through where Jake was just standing moments ago. Jacob leans out the window, screaming maniacally after his prey like a rabid dog. But the dense cornfield works to Jake's advantage, and soon the pickup's lights fade into the distance on the dirt road once more. Jake collapses, catching his breath. The truth nearly got him killed, but now he knows. As long as the Carter family dark secret remains buried, their insanity and bloodlust will live on. He must go to the authorities and make sure Jacob Carter is locked away for good so no one else gets hurt. But will anyone believe Jake's far-fetched tale of police station? Jake sits anxiously across from the sheriff, trying to catch his breath as he recounts the harrowing ordeal from the night before. But the lawman seems skeptical, rubbing his temples in frustration. Sheriff's son. I want to believe you, but you're talking about murders over 100-year-old and dead bodies rising from the grave. Do you have any proof of these outlandish claims? Jake realizes he has nothing concrete to show for his story. Just an old journal and a family heirloom locket that don't prove any crimes took place. Jake, you've got to check the crypt, Sheriff. The skeleton of Thomas Carter is still down there, along with clues about what really happened to Tabitha Clark. The sheriff sighs, not quite convinced, but he agrees to investigate it, if only to put the matter to rest. Sheriff, all right, kid. I'll send a couple deputies out to the cemetery with you. But don't go get your hopes up. I have a feeling this is all just folklore and ghost stories. Jake knows deep down that evil is real. He can only hope the sheriff finds what they need before Jacob Carter winds up silencing them all for good. Carter Cemetery. Jake leads two skeptical deputies to the hidden crypt entrance beneath the large Carter headstone. One deputy has a camera, hoping to disprove Jake's story with footage. They move aside the stone plaque to reveal the dark entrance beneath, guns drawn just in case. The deputies descend one by one into the depths with their flashlights. Carter Crypt. The deputies sweep their lights around, taking in the musty crypt. Jake points them to the far corner where he discovers the mysterious crate. But to their surprise, it's nowhere to be found. The skeleton of Thomas Carter has also vanished without a trace. Deputy 1. I don't understand. It was right here last night. Deputy 2. Sorry, kid. Looks like your ghost story just turned into thin air. Let's get out of this crypt. As they start to leave, Jake notices something. He crouches down, running his fingers along marks in the dirt floor. Drag marks, leading away from the corner and out of the crypt. Jake. Those weren't there before. A sinking feeling washes over Jake. Someone doesn't want the truth coming to light. He races out of the crypt after the deputies. Carter Cemetery. The deputies are heading back to their cruiser, dispute closed as far as they're concerned. But Jake stops them dead in their tracks with two chilling words. Jacob Carter. They turn to see Jacob's monstrous figure emerge from behind a large mausoleum, the skeleton of Thomas Carter slung over his shoulder in burlap. A sinister grin spreads across his aged face. Jacob Carter. Good afternoon, officers. I'm afraid you won't be leaving here with any evidence today. In a flash, Jacob tosses the skeleton aside and whips out a pistol from his coat, firing 2 shots. The deputies drop instantly, caught totally off guard. Jacob howls maniacally and turns the smoking gun on Jake, who sprints for his life as more shots ring out. This was Jacob's plan all along, to eliminate anyone standing between him and the Carter family's secret. Jake dives behind a group of headstones as Jacob closes in, reloading his pistol. The deranged killer peers around wildly, toying with his frightened prey. Jacob Carter. Come out, wherever you are, boy! It's no use running. You'll never escape your fate like the others. This land is Carter property, and soon you'll all be beneath it." Jacob's unhinged laughter sends chills down Jake's spine. He's trapped with no way to call for help. Unless... Jake notices the deputy's cruisers parked nearby. An idea forms. He takes a deep breath, then jumps up and bolts towards the vehicles as fast as he can. Jacob springs into action, taking aim. But Jake's swift movements make him an elusive target amidst the headstones. Jake leaps into the driver's seat of the nearest cruiser just as... Bang! A bullet tears through the rear window, narrowly missing Jake's head. He throws the cruiser into gear and peels out as Jacob empties his pistol in futility. Tires screech as Jake spins the big vehicle in a tight circle, now facing the unhinged killer dead on. Jacob stops firing, realizing he's met his match. For the first time, a look of genuine fear washes over his deranged face. But it's too late. Jake floors the gas, barreling straight at Jacob like a runaway train. Jacob turns to flee, but isn't fast enough. The cruiser connects with a sickening crunch, sending Jacob flying before crashing down in a lifeless heap. Jake slams on the brakes and leaps out, rushing to the mangled body. Jacob stared blankly up at the sky, neck bent at a gruesome angle. It's over at last. Or is it? A grin appears on the dead man's face, as if some hellish essence still inhabits his corpse even in death. Jake stumbles back in horror, shaken to his core. Some dark secrets may never be fully buried, it seems. But for now, the evil that has haunted these cursed graves for so long has finally been silenced. Jake lets out a heavy sigh of relief. Police station. Jake sits tiredly across from the sheriff, having just given his full statement. The lawman regards him with a newfound stare of seriousness. "Sheriff, after what those deputies found out at the old Carter place, I believe every word you've said, son. Looks like that family was hiding one hell of a dark secret." Jake nods solemnly. The grisly scene they uncovered will haunt him forever. The skeletons of countless victims entombed in a hidden chamber beneath the farmhouse basement, put there over generations by the depraved Carter clan to cover their crimes. "Sheriff, you did a brave thing busting this whole thing wide open. That evil won't haunt this town anymore thanks to you." Jake manages a small, weary smile. Though the threat is gone, he knows the nightmares of what he witnessed will linger with him for life. Some secrets were never meant to see the light of day. As the sheriff finishes up the paperwork, Jake gazes out the window into the inky night. A full moon hangs low once more, illuminating the last remnants of a long-buried horror. For the first time in over a century, the town can sleep easily. The curse of the Carter farm has finally been lifted.